What's up, guys? Briechii here. So, as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about altar setup and the biggity basics. So, pretty much this video is for those of you who really can't get anything. I mean, if you can get stuff, we're going to talk about that too. But really, I guess this is going to be like how I started too. I started with nothing. I was like 10 years old. So I really had nothing. And when you're starting, that's really all you need. You just need you, your mind, your body, your soul. What I did was, because I was doing this in my room, I sat down on the floor of my room and I literally meditated. It's really hard because I work like a mile a minute and I really just can't sit still. But when it comes to meditation, I don't know, I can sit still. I can concentrate. It's a great feeling for me. So that's what I did when I started, and I did as much as I could to just ground myself, to get in tune with myself, to just listen to how I was feeling, and listen to what, the world was giving me, what, the energy that I was receiving from it. And then once I kind of started doing that, I started kind of trying to feel for other people's energy. The energy that they were emitting into the world. And a lot of times it almost kind of screwed me over because it's negativity. I am very sensitive to negativity and I can feel it like a mile away. And it screws me up. So, but that's what I did. And that's how I started. Because I really didn't have anything. So you really don't need anything. But if you're able to get a couple things, then let's go from there. So we're going to include a candle. Now, that's kind of what I did. I included little by little, obviously, because like I said, I really didn't have the means to go out and get my own stuff or to do my own things. So I kind of improvised. And I also, because I was living with my grandparents, could not light a flame. Like, I couldn't light candles. It was really horrible for this practice because you're always lighting candles. But I worked with what I had. I used them. I just didn't light them. And then after a while, I just kind of felt that was just really annoying. I felt like because I wasn't lighting it, I was getting stuff from it, but not what I needed. So afterwards, I kind of decided to look up like a spell and just like, all right, let's start from there. Instead of like asking for what I want from, some candles, some unlit candles, why don't we look up a spell and go from there and look up some ingredients? So that's exactly what I did. So if that's kind of the place that you're at right now and you're trying to figure out like, well, what could I do? What should I start out with? Something that I kind of did was I started out with a protection spell. So I went online and I looked up, now this is back in the day, I don't even think YouTube was a thing, but I looked up, protection spells, and a lot of times salt is the main ingredient in protection. So I would use salt in everything, and I was constantly doing a protection and constantly saying stuff to myself so that it felt comfortable to me, because sometimes when you're talking to yourself like this, it feels really awkward. But the more you do it, the more you get very comfortable with it. And because when you're doing this stuff and you're putting intention into your stuff, you don't want to feel that awkwardness. So shake it off, get out of your shell a little bit. You know what I mean? You practice. That's what it's about. Practice makes perfect. So if you really want to get comfortable with the things that you're saying, or you really want to get comfortable and find your words to specific workings, definitely sit down and talk about some stuff. Talk it out aloud with yourself, kind of go with what feels right. The words will come out, and I mean, they will feel right for you. You just kind of have to push yourself to start that process. So that's pretty much what I did, is I constantly used the salt. I made a pentagram. I mean, I really got used to the salt. I learned the magical and medical properties of salt. I don't really follow any of the medical properties of a lot of stuff, but I do definitely follow the magical, and I use it how it speaks to me. Not everything works the same. So if you want to use salt specifically for protection or specifically for something, if that's how you feel you should use it, then that's what you should do. Because I do a lot of energy work, I always say whatever you feel is what's right. Another thing you can do if you really want to start like actually including herbs, so I'm including sage. Now sage, it says, okay, well this says, fertility, immortality, healing, health, protection, wisdom, and wishes. I use it for, I use it for healing and protection. As far as immortality or wisdom, no. But that's me. I don't specifically, that's not what I get from it. That's not how sage speaks to me. Sage speaks to me in a very healing and protective way. So that's what I use it for. Honestly, this is probably the end of the first part of the video. I just really wanted to make it very basic, just things that you can add. It's all about your intention. So you're going to have to, especially if this is something new to you, sit down and get used to saying this stuff. Sit down and get used to putting yourself out there. Now, if you're already comfortable with that, I'm so proud of you already, because that's something that took me a really long time to like overcome. I was like, oh crap, I just feel so awkward saying this. But it kind of hinders, your process, in the process, as you're doing it, because you're like, oh God, this like feels awkward, and you're not really focusing on your intention and what you want. So I really suggest kind of sitting down, look up a spell or two, or a certain ritual that you want to kind of get familiar with, and look up some different herbs. A thing that I would suggest is to pick 2 herbs and see what you can do for multiple things. You don't necessarily, like sage and salt. I will use them for protection, but I won't always just use them for protection, because they can definitely go in other things as well. I think sage smells really good. Salt I use in everything because it's protection. Even in some of the darker stuff I do, I still use salt. Because it still protects me. I always be safe when I do anything, but I always use salt anyways. So that's kind of the end of the first part of this video. I hope it kind of helped for those of you who just really don't know where to start, really don't know what to do. Like I said, you don't need anything. You just need you. And build up from there. Do a little bit of research, look into stuff, like I said, find an herb, read about it, look up everything that you can about it, and move on from there. You will eventually find that some herbs that you get, you don't even use. I use sage, but there are some herbs that I was really excited about getting that I did not end up liking or didn't work for me in what I was doing. So it's really unfortunate, but it's just how it is. So you got to find what works for you. And whatever does work for you is going to end up being really well, or it's going to work really well. So this is the end of the first part. The second part, guys, is going to be a little bit more on, we're going to add a couple things in here. And then we're kind of going to get into herbs. I have a big box of herbs to show you guys. We're not going to dig into every little thing. But I definitely want to show you guys and kind of how I chose my herbs, how I got started with that, because there's so many different herbs. So go ahead and look out for that video. That will be up soon. But other than that, guys, have a good day. It's Saturday. It stopped raining. I'm gonna go out and have myself a fabulous day after I do some little workings here. But have a good day, guys. Make lots of good choices. Bye.